Welcome, friends. Today, we are doing our top 10 most worn fragrances for autumn and winter 2022 to 2023. Sensational. So, friends, that is exactly what this video is. I will give a small amount of context before I jump in. One, I don't really do lists. I'm not averse to a list. I just don't think there should be all the time. Mix it up a bit, you know. I have my collection split in two. So I have the spring and summer collection, which is what you see before you right now. And I have the autumn winter collection. The autumn and winter collection runs from September the 1st till March the 1st. Well, February, the last day of February, either the 28th or the 29th. And the spring and summer collection runs from March the 1st until the 31st of August. Every year, I tally up the amount of times I've worn each scent, and then I give you an accurate list, really, in order. It's not a ranking as such as it is an accurate representation of what I've been wearing. I also do weekly fragrance rotation videos. So I like to keep track of these things. I try not to do it as I go. I just spend like half an hour, one night after the season is over, tallying everything up and come up with a list. This list has a point. It's not a hypothetical list. It's a factual list. And I hope you will enjoy it. So, number 10 on the list. Number 10 is a little bit of a surprise, but this is a year-round scent for me, I think. And I really love it. I have recently, well, not recently, but in the last 6 months to a year, I've made a conscious decision that I want to wear more of what I love rather than just experimenting, which is why it's now much harder for me to buy a perfume. You know, most of the perfumes I buy now are backups. And I have a lot of backups of this fragrance. And this is Dior Homme. I didn't wear the silver stem version that I can remember. Or if I did, I think I only wore it once or twice. But I included it in this. So this includes the silver stem version and the wearings of this one. Absolutely fabulous fragrance. It really is. It's like a snapshot of a time in perfume. It was almost revolutionary when it came out. This lipstick iris, softer, masculine kind of fragrance, like it says for men, Dior Homme. And before this fragrances like this weren't targeted towards men. Really, they were more classically feminine. But Olivia Polge, working for Dior submitted a brief for Dior and won. An exceptionally talented perfumer, Francois Demachy, came along in 2011 and reformulated it to this version. Now, it still smells good. That version still smells good. But if you compare them side by side, which I will do on the channel one day, you will see that the Demachy version, this version, the black stem version, is not as intricate or as delicate or as well made as the Olivia Polge version originally released in 2005. That notwithstanding, this was number 10 on my list. Now, number 9 was a surprise to me. I was shocked. But then I thought about it a little bit, and I wasn't really, because I've got to be honest, I was just trying to finish this off. I'm just trying to get through this. And this is Francis Kurkdjian's Grand Soir. I bought a 10ml of this. I felt like getting myself a new amber fragrance, and I was experimenting, and I like these little 10ml vials. I think this is either 10 or 11 mils. I can't remember. What size? Yeah, it's 11ml. It's a recharge. So I think you get like an official Kurkdjian sprayer, which will cost a fucking arm and a leg. But for me, I thought this was very ordinary. I thought there are so many better ambers than this. Do the same thing so much better. It's vanillic. Barely any labdanum. Soft, little bit powdery, bland, ordinary. Just if you want to smell pleasant, you know, or nice. You know what that means, don't you? You just smell ordinary. So that was surprisingly number 9, and I shall hopefully be going through the rest of that as soon as possible so I can get it out the collection, frankly. So it's not clogging up the shelves anymore. Next is a fragrance that is completely the opposite to that kind of fragrance. If you may be able to tell from the rumble, this is a big bottle. It is a big boy splash, or a big girl splash, if you want that to be the case. And this is Dior's Leather Oud. The original formulation from before 2017. Civet, leather, a little bit of a nice amber wood, a little bit, which kind of pulls everything together. It's a good use of amber wood. It is, because there's no oud in here, or maybe there is oud in here, but there's so little of it that they're allowed to just say that there is oud in it, you know? Because that's a thing. But performance is nuclear. It's an absolute staple in the autumn and the winter for me. Smoky, leathery, it's artistic, it's different, it's strong. It's strong performance, it's a strong fragrance, it's like strong mentally, you know, it's tough, it's a bit rugged. Absolutely fantastic fragrance. I love it. So this is Christian Dior's Leather Oud at number 8. Number 7. Number 7 is a fragrance which has similarities, but is also different from Leather Oud. And it should come as no surprise to see this here. It is Antaeus Pour Homme by Chanel. Earthy, leathery, deep, dark, strong fragrance, but infinitely more complex and sophisticated than Leather Oud. Leather Oud's like a hammer. This is more of a precision power tool. You know, Leather Oud's like a Mel hammer, a big heavy blow from Leather Oud. This is sophisticated but still extremely powerful. This is the modern version, and I am happy to wear this until it is gone, and then I will wear my vintage versions. Oh, the smell is 85-90% intact. The performance, it's not as great as it once was. It's not as deep. It's not as rich. But it's still absolutely fantastic and worth every penny of what you will pay for it. Especially in context from the rest of the market that's out there. The perfumes that are available to you out there now. This is exceptional. It's better than those in 95% of the cases. this stands up still. And I'm glad Chanel don't discontinue their fragrances for the most part. Speaking of discontinued, we move on to number 6. And this fragrance is one of my favourite ever fragrances. It has a lot of flankers, I don't think any of which have reached the heights of this fragrance. It is another powerhouse, it's another staple. Sorry, I'm just scratching off something because it's extremely reflective. This is Thierry Mugler's A Men. This is discontinued. You cannot find this anymore. L'Oreal took over the Thierry Mugler fragrance and fashion line, I believe, and promptly discontinued most of their fragrances, especially the men's ones. They only make Alien Man and the women's staples like Alien and Aura, Angel. This is another seminal fragrance. This is another fragrance which completely changed everything when it came out in 1996, made by Jacques Cuir. It is sweet. It is strange with that rubber tar note. It's so strong. It's so masculine and it pumps so much. For some reason, even though it's so sweet, it's still very masculine. This is the type of fragrance that made way for stuff like Dior Homme to come out 9 years later. I don't think you get Dior Homme in 2005 if this doesn't come out in 2006. If you look at men's fragrances that came out before this, there's a before and an after. It's one of those turning point moments. And it was always going to come from a brand like Thierry Mugler, who had already released things in the women's aisle that changed everything. Thierry Mugler, the brand and the man, revolutionised men's perfume and women's perfume, to be fair. One of the last great designers was Thierry Mugler. And they've gone now. This fragrance especially is a sore miss. And it will become a museum piece, unfortunately. I can't see L'Oreal re-releasing it, or if they do, it certainly won't be in the state that it used to be. Their last bottles that they made of this were weak, thin, and it just doesn't suit the fragrance. The fragrance was made to be overbearing, overpowering, too big, too much. And it was taken away from it, and I wish they'd just discontinued it rather than reformulating it before they eventually put it out of its misery. But that was number 6. Number 5. Number 5 is another fragrance that should not come as a surprise to anybody. You have already seen one fragrance from this line so far, and this is Christian Dior's Eau Noire. This is Immortelle, which gives that curry, spicy kind of vibe, coffee, lavender. I get the mythical strawberry note at the very top, just an overture of it. Apparently it's not there. I don't know whether it's the power of suggestion or whether it's just me wanting it to be there. But I'm absolutely certain I get a strawberry note from this, which is so weird at the top. Could be part of the lavender. Could be me transposing my ideas onto this fragrance. Excuse me whilst I hydrate. But I do like the hope it's there. It's got a big licorice note in it as well, which adds to like the kind of spiciness. It's such an interesting fragrance. I don't know why houses don't release fragrance, like designer houses especially. They don't release fragrances like this anymore. And it's such a shame. I know it's been re-released. To me, it's a little bit different. I don't like it as much as I like this version, but that could be because I smelled this version first. And I do believe that When you smell a version of a fragrance first, even if it's like the reformulation, you'll always like use that as your reference point, so you'll always like that more, you know. This is the second version of this fragrance. This is the eau de parfum. There used to be an eau de cologne, which I would absolutely love to smell, but very hard to find, very difficult to track down, absolutely beautiful. But yes, this is Eau Noire. Number four, all of these won't come as a shock. None of these will come as a shock if I fancy speaking English. All of these are familiar, and you probably already know what they are if you've been paying any attention, but I will go through them anyway so we can show you the actual ranking. This is Gucci Guilty Absolute. Look at the dent I have put in that bottle. Huge. I absolutely love this stuff. It's bone dry. There's not a hint of sweetness about it whatsoever. It's dark, it's smoky, it's a little bit acrid, extremely pleasant if you like that kind of thing. It wears absolutely amazingly in like the darkness, you know, those long winter months, those long winter nights. It's definitely a winter perfume for me. It's more difficult to wear in the early autumn. It's not something I could wear in September, maybe even October. But once it gets to November, all the way through to November, December, January, this stuff shines. Even in February, when the nights are still long. This is absolutely beautiful. Not discontinued, but prices are going up online. I see it still in the Gucci stand. So it's hard to justify why its prices are going up on discounters, but prices are going up everywhere at the minute, aren't they? Not to worry. Number three. Number three is one of my favourite leather fragrances. And this is Dior's Cuir Cannage. Cuir Cannage, leather, iris, orange blossom, birch. This is, for me, an easy wear. It's a little bit syrupy at the top with that orange blossom, little bit like gelatinous, you know. It's got like a thickness, like a jelly kind of thing going on at the top with the orange, and then it dries down to this kind of sophisticated, old world leather, makeup-y iris kind of thing. It's absolutely stunning. It's a perfect fragrance for autumn and winter. Autumn because it's got still some life left in it, you know, although it's coming to the end of that life. It's old, it's still hanging on in there, it's got class, it's got power still. Power's always the last thing to go. This is it for me. This is one of, if not the best from the line. I absolutely love this stuff. I've got a lot of it and I intend to wear it. It's still absolutely beautiful. So that was number three. Number two. Oh, this is one of the best designer privés ever released, in my opinion, and this is Tobacco Oud. For some reason, they have got rid of the 100ml bottles, which makes me think that the 50mls are next to go. They never did 250s in this size, apparently, which is a shame because I would have one of them too. I have got lots of this backed up because I need it. as much as you can need a fragrance. This is tobacco and oud. It has some spices, it has some resins, it is warm, it's powerful, it's a little bit sweet. With the patchouli, it's maybe the last great Tom Ford release. Maybe Beau de Jour, I think Beau de Jour came afterwards. Vert d'Encens maybe. This is one of my favourite fragrances, a fragrance I find very easy to wear. It's dark, it's a little bit sweet. And you can expect to see this again on next year's list. It should come as no surprise to you that this is number 2. Anyway, we come to number 1. And again, this will come as no surprise to you. I made a promise to myself that I was going to start wearing this more and more often, and so it has proved. Number 1 on my most worn fragrances for 2022-2023 winter is Balenciaga Pour Homme. Probably my favourite fragrance. I can't think of anything else I love more than this. Cinnamon, patchouli, rose, honey, and everything else. Soapy, powdery, but not overly powdery. Not so much powder that it clouds you out. You know, it makes you suffer. It lasts all day and all night. It transitions from the top to the mid to the base purposefully but subtly. You know, you'll smell it after 5 minutes and then it'll be different after 2 hours, but you won't have noticed when that happens or how it happens. It just does. From the nose of Gerard Anthony, the same person who made Azzaro Pour Homme. It's gorgeous. I love it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, has been my top 10 most worn autumn and winter 2022 to 2023. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I appreciate it greatly. And I will see you again soon. Goodbye.